We are back for another Hoop Scoop Media Conference previewing ACC, which is kind of noteworthy because some big ACC news happened recently. That is obviously Tony Bennett stepping away as the head coach of Virginia, which we will touch on briefly as we would any other coaching change in this episode. If you want to check out our full reaction, full thoughts on who could be hired next, maybe after the season, we did have a video up on that the other day, so feel free to check that out on the Hoop Scoop Media YouTube channel. Follow us on our other social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter/X at Hoop Scoop Media would also be much appreciated. But yeah, to get into the ACC, another team, another conference that had some teams this offseason, adding Cal, Stanford, and SMU, 18 teams. Not just on the Atlantic coast, but also the Pacific coast with the addition of Cal and Stanford. So what do we make of this new look?
Yeah, I think it creates a lot of excitement, and then like obviously the cross country away trips could have a factor on. I think the title race, even at Cal, Stanford, SMU, not up there, but the teams who are gonna have to play there versus the teams who won't, I think it'll make a difference.
That's like three time zones over. That's crazy.
Yeah, literally the other side of the country.
Can't get any further. But yeah, last year, speaking about the conference, finished as the fifth best conference in regards to KenPom. North Carolina, the regular season champions. NC State won the conference tournament, but Duke was the highest ranked team in KenPom. Five teams made the tournament. NC State, they really had a crazy March run going from a pretty mediocre team in conference play, rolling through the conference tournament, rolling all the way to the Final Four, where they were eventually stopped by Purdue. But yeah, that was crazy. So taking a look back at last year, some of the players in all conference teams where they are now. RJ Davis, he is back in North Carolina, one of the National Player of the Year favorites. PJ Hall for Clemson started his pro career. Kyle Filipowski from Duke started his pro career as well. Hunter Sallis did not start his pro career. He is back at Wake Forest. And Blake Hinson for Pitt exhausted his eligibility. Moving on to second team, Armando Bacot for North Carolina exhausted his eligibility. Reese Beekman for Virginia started his pro career. Judah Mintz, Syracuse guard, started his pro career. Norchad Omier transferred to Baylor from Miami. And Quentin Post from Boston College exhausted his eligibility. On the third team, DJ Horn for NC State exhausted his eligibility. Harrison Ingram for North Carolina started his pro career. Jeremy Roach also, like Omier, transferred to Baylor, Roach coming from Duke. Marcus Burton is back at Notre Dame after a stellar freshman season, and Sean Padula also hit the portal. He committed to Ole Miss. So, yeah, we also have some coaching changes, starting out with Pat Kelsey taking over at Louisville following a disastrous Kenny Payne era. So, I mean, what are our thoughts on this hire? Obviously, for all these new hires, we had a coaching changes podcast back in May where we graded every single coaching hire except for the short few number that happened after that. But yeah, what are our thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I really like it. It's probably the biggest upgrade um, for any program this offseason, I think. Maybe St. Louis, the
I mean,
only
Travis
other
Ford like
close
had his
option.
ups, so
Yeah, yeah, I don't know, just one season to the next. But I think Louisville, obviously, Kenny Payne's horrific
it
two
couldn't have
two
got
years
much
ago.
worse.
Yeah. I think I'm all in on Kelsey. I'll wait to spoil where I have Louisville finishing, but I'm really high on how this will turn out, even in year one.
Yes, Kelsey's been pretty decent at Charleston, was pretty decent at Winthrop as well, and I think he really has the energy that is going to work well with just a changing aspect of the game. And yeah, I like their team as well. We'll get
Yeah,
into that later, of course.
I think he can bring the strong fan base right back to where it was almost.
Yes, he's a good like fan base energizer for sure. Um, another coaching change, Kyle Smith taking over at Stanford, which that still doesn't seem right. The the Stanford and the ACC. But yeah, that's where he is now. That's where Kyle Smith is. Jared Haas was fired after a pretty mediocre tenure, actually very less than mediocre. Got consistent talent, did not get consistent results there. But yeah, Smith is sort of the opposite. I mean, I guess he got some okay talent at Washington State compared to what you could have got, but definitely guy does more with less. And yeah, he just made a tournament at Washington State, and I think just a great hire. For a few reasons. First of all, Smith has experience at high academic schools with his tenure at Columbia, and he has a Bay Area experience being at San Francisco. So I think with those and the fact he's proven he can really coach, I another one just like absolutely killed the cycle.
Yeah, I think the things you talked about, he's done it with like the academic restrictions on who he can recruit from, and then also being on the West Coast, he's already proved himself as a coach
Yes.
there.
Yes. Put those two things together and you get Stanford. Another California coach leaving California going to SMU. Again, it's weird that we're talking about SMU in the ACC coaching changes, but Andy Enfield, he is the head coach there now after Rob Lanier was kind of weirdly fired after just 2 years there, and he won 20 games in year two, a huge increase from year one. But yeah, they got Andy Enfield as a replacement. He made a tournament 5 times at USC. I don't really think they should have fired Lanier, but I guess Enfield is a better coach.
Yeah, I feel like from what I heard, it was kind of that they knew Enfield would be interested if the job opened, now being in a Power Five conference, and that's kind of what pushed it. And obviously Enfield's tenure at USC was shaky, especially getting the most out of his talent, especially you saw last year, a preseason top 25 team and failed to make the tournament.
Yes, not a great season he's coming off, but I mean he's a solid power conference coach. I guess you'll take that in year one of SMU's power conference era. And yeah, Tony Bennett is no longer the head coach at Virginia. Ron Sanchez is a coach. I believe he's just a coach for this year, and then they'll make decisions going forward as needed. But yeah, that was shocking, given the
Yeah,
timing, especially.
I mean the day it happened, that was gonna be the night we recorded this ACC podcast, and then decided to go with the Tony Bennett live reaction one. And I think it gave a bit of time to settle down and kind of think about where I wanted to go with Virginia. Expectations for the year, but
Yes.
definitely, I mean, one of the most surprising things we've seen, especially this late on in an off season. And I guess there hasn't been like a real stated reason why. He just kind of said he was stepping away from what I saw, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
mean.
I think there's a lot to be implied or like I don't know found from there.
Yes, definitely like not like super surprised at like the fact he did retire, but the timing is very strange. I guess it was time. Can't argue with that. But moving to our personal all conference predictions, who is your ACC player of the year?
I went with the number one overall recruit in the class. I went with Cooper Flagg from Duke. Can do it all, and I'm higher on Duke, a little lower on UNC, and that's kind of the tiebreaker I used. RJ Davis obviously going to be a phenomenal player, but I think Flagg will do it all as a freshman.
Yes, two outstanding players in ACC, Cooper Flagg and RJ Davis. I went with RJ Davis, but that is neck and neck between those two. I think Davis just has that college experience. He's probably going to average a little bit more points per game. I guess we'll see how the conference standings come down to, but can't go wrong with either one. Knows Davis really kind of broke out last season. He was always pretty good, but last year really established himself as one of the premier guards and players in the country. And for my freshman year, I obviously had Cooper Flagg, generational recruit.
Yeah. I don't the way he'll be able to affect the game in basically every aspect. I think Yeah, he may be just 17 for literally half the season, but I think he'll be able to show himself on the court, and he'll show the talent and the experience that he does have playing high level AAU.
I think he's played in some of those like U
And then
U20,
obviously,
U whatever. He played it like
yeah,
the
obviously the USA select
and
team
then
as
yeah,
well.
that as well. For my defensive player of the year, I have Malik Brown for Duke. That defensive player of the year in this conference was a hard one to pick. I'm not entirely sure if Brown's going to start for Duke, but he is phenomenal on the defensive end. So I went with him, one of the best teams, the best team in my opinion in the conference. So yeah,
Yeah, and then again here, I went Flag, elite athlete. I think um,
got the clean
he
sweep.
can make yeah he can make a name for himself on the defensive end as well. Yeah, his impact is all over the court, and
Yeah, I don't
you can
hate it.
see it.
He could average like four like stocks a game, steals
Yeah,
plus blocks for those who don't know. But yeah, he is phenomenal every aspect of the game, really. So I cannot wait to watch him in live action. I know Duke played like an exhibition game yesterday. I did not watch that. I've been more watching the D1 versus D1 charity exhibition so far, but yes, regardless, very excited to watch Duke and some other guys, not just Flags, because I really like this Duke team. But yeah, first team, I have RJ Davis, as obviously mentioned.
yeah. I've got RJ Davis as well to start off the list.
Yep. Another player I have is Marcus Burton for Notre Dame, all conference member as a freshman, can really score the ball. I think Notre Dame's going to be a little bit better this year, kind of returning a little bit of that same core. I think Shrewsbury's a guy that can really coach despite not having amazing talent last year. But yeah, Burton could lead the conference in scoring, and he's only going to get better as he gets older. So I had him here.
Yeah, I like Burton as well. I actually had him on my third team, and I think the team success kind of factors into that. But obviously, as you mentioned, 17 points a game as a freshman, and it'll probably only go up this year as the team takes a step forward.
Yes. Who
Next,
is
next,
yeah.
yeah, the next guy for me was Hunter Salas for Wake
hmm
Forest. Terrific all conference guard last year. We'll have even more on his shoulders this year in the backcourt, probably with Boobie Miller gone. And yeah, looking to lead Wake back to the NCAA tournament. I think he has a big year, and I think the Demon Deacons finally get over that hump. Um, yeah, just the all around scoring ability is
Yes,
makes him an elite player.
I had him there as well. Really, really broke out after being more of a role player in his time at Gonzaga. Next player I have is Tyrese Proctor for Duke. Um, a little, I'm not exactly sure who's going to be their number two option after Flagg, but Proctor has been in the program for a few years, been a solid role player. I mean, more than a role player, he's been a solid plus level starter for a few years. So we'll see if he can really assert himself. But I think the team success is gonna help a lot there. So I went with him on my first team.
Yeah, I had Proctor on my third team, and I think that was more just kind of off what you mentioned, the unsure of who's really going to take over there. Can he finally make the jump that people have been looking for over the last 2 years?
Yes.
Third guy for me was Terrence Edwards Jr. for Louisville,
Okay.
transferred in from James Madison last season. And I think he'll end up being one of the top transfers in this conference. I really like what Louisville can do, just three-level score, can do a bit of everything. And I think he becomes the main guy for Pat Kelsey this season on a really talented Louisville team.
Yes, I would agree. I have Edwards on my second team. I feel like it's kind of getting underlooked nationally. I feel like not a lot of people are really talking about him, considering how good he was in a really good James Madison team. So, I had him second team. My last member of my first team was Cooper Flagg, obviously.
Yeah, I had Cooper Flagg in that, and then my fifth guy, a guy I think with the rather lack of premier bigs in this conference, it won't really matter that his team won't be that good. Is Maxime Reynaud for Stanford, elite player in the Pac-12 last year, skilled big, can really do everything up front. I think he has a big year for Stanford, and the rest of that roster really lacks. So I think his numbers will really pop.
Yeah, I had him second team as well. Again, the team success probably won't be there, but Reno was really good at Stanford last year, and I don't really think that he'll stop. Yeah, really, really multi-talented there. So is that everyone your first team then?
Yeah, because then Flagg's obviously the final guy.
Yeah. So moving to my second team, I had Nigel Pack for Miami, kind of banking on a little bit of a bounce back season. There was kind of hurt last year. Miami just did not have it at all, but also kind of thinking a bounce back season for Miami themselves. But yeah, Pat can really shoot it, solid point guard. And yeah, I just think he kind of gets back to where he was.
Yeah, definitely took a step back last year, but that's part due to injuries, part just the team didn't really fit that well in my eyes. I have on my second team as well. I think the scoring takes a jump back up, and hopefully the efficiencies as well.
Yes, another member of my second team. I guess I had Edwards, and I also had Jameer Watkins from Florida State, kind of another guy in the Reno situation where Florida State, I think, is going to be really bad this year, to be quite frank. But I really do like Watkins. Don't really know why he stayed at Florida State, but maybe it's because it's the best place for him to put up some numbers. I think he could have got drafted. I believe he was also in the portal this offseason, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
yeah, he had entered the portal, and I feel like there was heavy interest from Michigan. I can't remember a couple other
I mean,
schools,
he
but
could have gone wherever realistically, but yeah, he really
yeah,
filled up the stat sheet last year. Um, yeah, kind of like a point forward ish, kind of does a little bit of everything. Think he'll probably be an NBA player after this season. And yeah, Florida State is bad, but he's really good.
yeah, like you mentioned, gonna have the ball in his hands a lot. That's another guy I had on my second team as well.
Yes, and I have. She was another guy that you had.
I went with Jalen Lowe for Pitt. I think really looking at a breakout year for him this season. Uh, Bub Carrington was the freshman last year that kind of took control of the roster, but I think Lowe will be there next to Legit and really have a big year. Looks good as a freshman, and I think the talent will continue to show this year. I like Pitt as well on a national sense.
Yes, I had Low in my third team, kind of for all the reasons you said, was coming on strong in ACC play and does not have those star teammates next to him that he did last year. So yeah, third team for me. Second team I have Renault as mentioned. I also had Kashawn Pryor as my last member of my second team. Really, really like him coming over from South Florida. Can kind of do a little bit of everything. Um, as a big man, kind of played a wing a little bit too. And yeah, he's really fun, really good defensively, can shoot a little bit. Not a lot to dislike about Pryor, and I think he kind of fits the vibe of this Louisville team.
Yeah, he's a really good fit for what Kelsey wants to do there. I
Yes.
didn't have Pryor on any of my teams, but I definitely like the inclusion. I'm really high on what Louisville can do. Next guy for me was Chase Hunter for Clemson.
Okay.
Joe Girard leaves the backcourt. PJ Hall steps away as well from Clemson. So I think there's a lot of numbers there for him to put up, and a fifth-year senior. Um, Good scorer, good playmaker. Just got to hope the shooting from deep improves.
Yes, I did not have him, but yeah, definitely can't be too mad at that inclusion. Anyone else in your second team?
Yeah, final guy for me was Bai Ndongo for Georgia Tech. Another guy I think is going to have a big breakout year. Probably going to be one of the better bigs in the conference. 12-8 last year, and I think that'll only go up from here. Really, the only true big that I see playing big minutes for Georgia Tech. So I think he'll have a lot of post touches, make things happen.
Yes, I and Dongo on my third team. So yeah, moving to my third team, I had Low, as previously mentioned. I'm also taking a little bit of swing on Andrei Stojakovic from Cal, transferring. I guess he transferred in conference, and he still transferred in conference, even though he was in the the Pac-12 last year, but yeah, going from Stanford to Cal, really, really talented scorer. He didn't really live up to the hype last year, but on the Cal team that kind of has some like intriguing pieces, but is still a lot of question marks surrounding that team. I think Stojakovic could be a guy that could really break out, and obviously has an NBA pedigree, being the son of Pedro Stojakovic. So yeah, I'm still in on him.
Yeah. The next name for me, I didn't have Stojakovic on my third team, but next name for me on my third team was JJ Starling for Syracuse. Should be the leading scorer on that team. Averaged 13 and 3 last year. I think he can become more efficient, sometimes a bit erratic, but I think now a junior he'll take a step up. Um, Shot
Yes.
selection, just yeah, awareness.
Yes, I did not have Starling on my all-conference teams, but one guy I did have on my third team is Matt Cross for SMU. Really, really filled up the stat sheet last year at UMass and returning to the ACC for another time. Previously played at Miami and Louisville. I think this third round in the conference is really going to be his best. Yeah, coming off a really good season, and I'm kind of a little bit more in on this SMU team than some people seem to be nationally, so had to put Cross on my one of my all conference teams.
Yeah, I didn't have Cross, and then um, the next guys were Burton and Proctor. Talked about both of those guys already, and then fourth guy on the third team was Dion Brown, transfer from UMBC, now at Boston College. Averaged 19 and 8 last year. Really efficient scorer. Just only 6'3", but you watch the film, he looks a lot bigger than that. A very physical guard, and I think that translates up really well. And I think he's the leading scorer on this Boston College team that probably isn't as bad as people are making them out to be in my eyes.
Yeah. The last guy on my third team I had is Victor Locken, Clemson big man. I'm typically a pretty big Victor Locken guy, so I had to give him the nod here. I think it's definitely possible either him or Ian Shefflin make it, as Clemson pretty good front court there. But yeah, Locken super efficient. Last year took a little bit of a dip in conference play, but he was battling some injuries, so no surprise with the efficiency drop there. But he was really good in non-con play. Started to kind of develop a little bit of a shot, but yeah, really good defender, really good rebounder. I think he could, and with PJ Hall gone to Clemson, I think he could maybe be more of a feature offensive option than we've seen in years past.
Yeah, you mentioned Shefflin a moment ago. That's the final name on my all conference
Yeah.
teams. 10 and 9 last year. Really does everything at the four spot for Clemson, and just kind of ultimate energy guy. Makes big plays and can shoot it really well from three. Gives them that option there. And if Locken's able to start spacing the floor too, I think that really makes Clemson a fun team.
Yes. Yeah. Really, really, really like that front court. But moving to our all freshman team, it's everyone your third team, right?
Yep.
Yes. So obviously we both had Flag. I also had his front court mate, Kaman Maluach, coming from Africa. I believe he played in the BAL or NBA Academy, played like a bunch of different places there, but yeah, he's one of the best recruits in the country. Really big. Definitely going to be like a lottery pick next year, I would assume.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I played for I think it was South Sudan at the Olympics. I think he
Yes, he
was one of
did.
the youngest guys there.
Hmm.
And I mean played well, put up um, good numbers, looked well. So I think that's another guy in the Duke front court to watch. I like a lot of the guys in that freshman class
Hmm.
to make an impact from day one.
Yes. I had a third Duke guy on my all freshman team, that is Con Knippel. I recently included him on here. I did not have him originally, but he's been getting a lot of hype recently. A lot of hype. So had to give him the inclusion here. I think he might start for this team. And yeah, like he's been the guy that seems to really, the season hasn't started, but he's really been a stock riser. And if you're into the off-season chatter. So got to go with him on
Yeah,
here.
the exhibition you mentioned the other day, when we were talking about Flag, Knipple hit 5 threes, so definitely a bright start to him against D3 competition, but it still
Yes.
looks bright. For me, I went next guy on the all freshman team. I went with Ian Jackson from UNC. Um, After Seth Trimble's really positive scrimmage performance, maybe the touches won't be there for Jackson right away, but I still liked what I saw from him in flashes, and I think he'll have a good freshman year.
Yes, Jackson was actually the guy I got rid of to put Knipple on there, but I did have another guy, Jaleel Bethea for Miami. Top 10 recruit, should be a immediate impact player in that backcourt next to Pack. So yeah, I can't really go wrong with him there.
Yeah, I had Bethea as well on my all freshman team, and I think stepping or setting him next to Pack in that backcourt freshens it up from what they had last year. And I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yes, my last guy took a little bit of a swing here for my last guy. I'm going with Samet Yigitoglu for SMU freshman international big man. I think he could be pretty decent right away. I don't really think Johan Troyori is that good, so that's part of the reason I'm really high on Yigitoglu. But yeah, I think he's kind of key to SMU really reaching their potential this year. And I think, yeah, if he's fully able to grab that starting job, I think he could be one of the more surprised. I feel like not like super big surprise because a lot of people know about him, but internationals are big question marks sometimes. So we'll see.
Yeah, my final guy was another international, Amsal from Bosnia, and very talented, 6'8", but
Yes. Or
really a
Pitt.
guard with his skills. Um, a slight injury from what I saw that might set him back to start the season, but I think by mid-November, early December, he should be back and having a really big impact for Pitt. Um, Next to Jalen Lowe, who I think is another guy breaks out,
Yes.
and yeah, I really like the upside of both of those players.
Yes. Is that everyone? Or do you have?
Yeah, Jackson, Bethea, Delalich, Flag, and Malak.
Yes. So moving to our breakout players. The first breakout player I have is a transfer in conference that is TJ Power for Virginia, going from Duke to Virginia. Although I did hear that he did go 0 for 9 from the field in Virginia's embarrassing loss in their scrimmage exhibition, whatever you want to call it, to VCU. So n not a good start, but the good thing is he can only go up from here. Power should theoretically be a good offensive option for Virginia, although we'll see if their offense is able to do anything. But if Virginia's like even halfway decent, he's the guy that has to be really good.
Yeah, I actually just found out about this 0 for 9 news as you said it. So that's kind of I don't know scary to me, but yeah, my breakout guys, I always choose guys that stayed with their team. So I guess Power didn't qualify in my eyes, but I think that's definitely a guy who's going to take a step up um, at his new school. First guy on the list for me was Jalen Lowe. Kind of obvious. Talked about him already, and I think yeah, huge year coming for him as a sophomore.
Yes, I'll just stick with that Virginia note. I also have Blake Buchanan, big man there, that also should be in for a big increase in production and just minutes and everything.
Yeah, next guy for me was Nathan George for Georgia Tech. Kind of the sophomore duo, George and Ndongo. Really high on both of them. George showed a lot of playmaking last year, and I think Javion McCollum next to him kind of takes a bit of pressure off him as well. Two guys that can create, and I still think he has enough touches to have a bigger year than last.
Yes, another guy I had was Jalen Washington for North Carolina. Really skilled big man. North Carolina has a bunch of different big men that are all right, but definitely a little bit of a weaker position there. I think Washington after being a little bit of a non-factor in his first few years with the Tar Heels, is in a position where he can really step up, look good in their exhibition game. Not that this is what I'm basing this off of, but I do think it is a positive sign. And yeah, very, very skilled offensively.
Yeah, next guy I went with another sophomore guard in the conference, Caleb Foster for Duke. Um, Showed flashes last year. Obviously, going to have a bit more of um, a bigger role this year. Also depends on Son James, Concanipple, kind of what they are providing. But I think Foster will start for this team and also really efficient shooting the ball last year for Duke. And I think he does well in a bigger role.
Yes, another guy I had is Dennis Parker for NC State. NC State kind of has like a huge assortment of mid on their wings, so we'll see kind of what happens there. But I think Parker, as a rising sophomore, he's a guy that is more likely to take a bigger jump. So I think he could potentially establish himself as a consistent starter this year.
Yeah, I had Parker as well. And then my final guy was Elijah Strong for Boston College, another sophomore. Really turned it on in the NIT for Boston College. Got a bit of a chance. I believe Post was out for those games or played limited minutes at least. Strong 12 minutes against Providence had 10 points, and then 10 minutes against UNLV had 7 points. And from the Boston College fans I talked to, they were really buying into what he could be as a sophomore.
Yes, my final guy was another transfer, but another transfer in conference, and that is Rodney Brown Jr. going from Cal to Virginia Tech. Still so crazy that it's in conference, but yeah, I think he's a guy that could definitely take a big jump. Virginia Tech's again a team that's kind of looking for some guys to really step up. Rodney Brown, I know a lot of people liked him going into his freshman year at Cal last year, never really materialized in terms of his production, but again, I think he's a guy that with a pretty even team to where he was last year. I still think he could see a big increase. So is that everyone for you then?
Yeah, I got through all five.
All right, so just going into our top 10 transfers. Number one, I have Terrence Edwards Jr., Louisville.
Yeah, yeah, same here.
Number two is where I have his teammate, Keshawn Pryor.
Second, I've got Dion Brown for Boston College.
Third is where I have Matt Cross for SMU.
My third is Lynn Kidd for Miami. Uh, Interconference transfer from Virginia Tech. Um,
Yes.
Finally gives them a real five, and I think that's a big reason why Miami takes us a step forward this year.
Yes, I have Kidd at seven. Four, I have Cade Tyson for North Carolina, coming from Belmont. Super efficient scorer and shooter.
Yeah, I've got Tyson at 10. I kind of fell off. I didn't like what I saw in the scrimmage against Memphis,
Yeah,
but
he wasn't that good.
still, I think you have to buy into what he was last year for Belmont, and he'll
For
get
sure.
comfortable over the course of the year.
Yes.
Um, that
And
was your
four,
fourth.
yeah.
That was your fourth guy. Fourth guy for me, Chucky Hepburn for Louisville.
He was number eight for me. And yeah, really, really solid point guard, solid defender. Number five is where I had Victor Larkin.
All right, I didn't have Locken on um my list, but I had Kashawn Pryor at 5, who you previously
Uh,
mentioned.
yep. Number six, where I had Malik Brown for Duke, another interconference guy coming from Syracuse.
6, I went with Corin Johnson for Louisville. So fourth Louisville guy in the top 6. Team full of transfers.
Yes.
I really like the whole class, to be honest.
Number seven is where I had Lynn Kidd.
All right, yeah, I had Brandon Huntley Hatfield for NC State, another interconference guy transferred over from Louisville, and yeah, I think setting him in the NC State front court, obviously not DJ Burns, but an experienced front court guy in the ACC.
Yes,
I think that's big.
he was the one guy in Louisville that was actually like sort of like product like wasn't terrible last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, number eight is where I had Chucky.
Okay. 8, I had Boopy Miller for SMU. Once again, an intra-conference transfer coming down from Wake Forest.
Number nine, I had another interconference guy, and that's Tyler Johnson from Louisville to Wake Forest, a guy that I think showed some solid enough flashes, and once he's in a little bit better system, I think he could really break out.
Yeah, I like Tyler Johnson. Just missed the list for me. Um, but yeah, I think as you mentioned, new system, better coach, should be able to make a big jump. I went with Rightus Petritus, um,
Yeah.
from Cal, transfer from Air Force, just all around talented player. I think he might be the guy there for Cal. Stojakovic, another talented player as you talked about earlier. But
Yes. Number 10, I went with Jalen Blackman for Miami, big time scorer.
yeah, my 10th guy was Kate Tyson. I mentioned earlier, and then two other guys I had just missing were, or three others were Blackman, Power, and then JVM McCollum.
A lot of solid transfers in the league, and there could have been a handful of other guys that we could have thrown right in that mix as well. And yeah, we will talk about them all on our individual team previews. So starting from worst to first based on last year, gonna run through every team, tell them where we think they're gonna be this year, and just yeah, talk a little bit about their team and yeah, the outlook. So starting off with some of the new additions in the conference with SMU, I have Mustangs seventh in the ACC this year.
I went with SMU at 13th. We're
Oof.
probably at the floor and the ceiling, on either side. I feel like for this team, but definitely a wide range of options and a very open middle of the conference.
Yes, definitely a lot of different ways you could have gone. What makes you like out on them though?
I'm not like a huge Kevin Miller guy, and then front court you mentioned kind of Yohan Traore, a bit iffy on him, and Matt
He
Cross.
was like Traore, like I don't know if you've seen his like on off splits from UC Santa Barbara, but they were not good. Like they would UC Santa Barbara was statistically significantly worse with him on the floor. That concerns me. That's why, and I do like Gigi Togu. Like that's what I think needs to happen for him to be good.
And then yeah, I Matt Cross, um, maybe this time in the ACC, obviously should be a bit better, a lot improved, but I don't know, kind of wait and see. And then Andy Enfield, I mean, recently hasn't got the most out of what he's had, so that's another reason why I'm kind of iffy.
Yeah. Personally, I think this is like kind of a bubble team. Like I know there definitely is, or like maybe some people are a little bit lower on Boopy. I think there are definitely some ups and downs to him, but I feel like he's at least a solid starter in the conference. I think Chuck Harris is pretty solid. Solid starter. I think Cario Quendo's like I don't know what I think about Cario Quendo. He was like he can get buckets for sure. Like that one year at Georgia, I remember he was really good. They were bad, but
Yeah, wasn't really what you wanted from him last year at Oregon, but I don't know, maybe new surroundings, he can take a step back up.
yeah. The bench is interesting. They have like a bunch of guys that can play, but none are really that great with BJ Edwards, Kean Ambrose Hilton, Tibet Gardner, AJ George, Jarrell Colbert. At least they're like decently deep though. It's definitely a team that, yeah, I could definitely see this team failing, but I
I
kind of think their starters are like tournament, like bubble level, like starting
Yeah.
caliber guys.
I honestly don't mind the depth. Gorner from
Yeah,
San Jose State, AJ
like it's
George from Long Beach State.
playable-ish.
Yeah, but I don't know. Most of these guys that are on the bench are more forwards, bigs, and like I don't know. I just feel like they're weighing a lot on Boopy Miller, and I don't know if he's the guy I would put all my chips in on.
I think the big thing for me is just like Yugi Togu, like becoming like a solid starting caliber center. And yeah, because I don't think they can make tournament with Traore unless he is better because the U Santa Barbara team was kind of a mess, but he was, as his stats showed, probably the biggest problem. So yeah, I kind of in on this team, but like I kind of am out on this team for some reasons. Like I see where your skepticisms are because yeah, Andy Enfield like he's okay, but like Andy Enfield is usually like okay.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't definitely last year leaving a sour taste in my mouth, but
Yeah. Next up, though, is Cal, their first year in ACC. I have them 11th.
I went with Cal 14th. Basically full reset, bringing in 10 transfers and losing
Yes.
everybody of note from last year. So
Was
I
that a
don't know.
bad
It'll
thing,
be
though?
interesting.
Well,
I wouldn't say
Jalen
necessarily, but there's
Tyson, Fardaws were really good, actually.
yeah,
But, um, yeah. But I
I
do
mean,
like this transfer class.
yeah, I like it, but I feel like most of them are all like I don't know, fourth, fifth options. Like Petritis is gonna
Petrides
have to make the step
can
up
be
and
number one
be
option.
the guy.
I
The
think he
rest of it,
can
I
be.
don't know.
He's really good. Petrides is really good. Yeah, and you
Um,
can like play a little bit more free almost. He was like kind of center Air Force. I mean, Air Force kind of just is weird because they like don't have big guys, but
yeah,
he
and
is
like
really dynamic.
I've heard good things from Oma over the offseason, and obviously
He's
had
an
a big year in
athlete.
North Dakota. I'm kind of worried on the point guard backcourt situation. It's a lot of like 6'7" guys, and then the point guard is either Javon Blackshear Jr., a dude who's been hurt like the last 3 years, I think,
Yes. He has
or
been really good. Not that I think he's like going to get back there necessarily, but like if he somehow is like fully 100%, like he could be really good.
yeah, and then it's him or Christian Tucker, UTSA point guard last year. Not exactly a great team, so it's like I don't know. I'm skeptical there. Um, I
I
do like potential of
I think
Petritis,
Tucker's like a
Stojakovic.
fine game manager. Like he's like
Yeah, I don't.
yeah.
I want more like
Definitely
creation. I feel like himself. Like I don't know. He can make the passes, but like I don't know if he provides much himself.
yeah. I will say DJ Campbell was a weird take. Like I don't like why like he's not like a bad player, but like I just don't see the appeal for him.
Yeah, I mean,
Like he's like a 6'2" non-point guard, non like not really a shooter from Western Carolina. It was a weird take. Like I think he's like a good mid-major player, but like I don't really see the point in taking him. But we'll see. Maybe Mark Madsen has something under his sleeve that we don't know about. Um, let's see. Big man, Madi Sissoko, Lee Dort. Um,
I think Sissoko's fine. I don't know if I would really want him to be my starting level center, but I think that's what it's gonna have to be. But
yeah, could definitely play try to slot there. What's your scouting report on Ola Joseph?
um, basically just a good athlete, I would say. It's kind of the thing that stands out most about him. Last year started for the beginning half of the year, and then the Gophers went with Pharrell Payne at the 5, Garcia at the 4, and Payne's better than Ola Joseph. You can see that just from watching, but it also gave Garcia a chance to space the floor at the 4, which Ola Joseph shot well from 3, but he didn't shoot many. Um,
Yeah,
so I don't know. Good
this
athleticism, but
definitely an interesting team. I also think Jeremiah Wilkinson could like kind of be decently impactful. I've heard some good things about him, so maybe that could be another answer at the point guard. But
I,
this
the
is kind
thing
of a
I'm
fun
scared about
team. But
with the Wilkinson hype, is it like he's good, or is it just Blackshear and Campa or Blackshear and Tucker are just not that, and like Wilkinson just looks better than them, and they're all not good.
we'll see.
That's I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's at least like a fun group of transfers. Like I don't know if this team is going to be good, but like it's kind of fun. Like Petrius is fun, Stojakovic is fun. If Blackshear's healthy, he's fun. Oma is fun. Like it's kind of a fun
Yeah,
group of
and
guys.
I do like Mark Madsen as a coach,
Yes,
so I
absolutely.
yeah
Yeah, we'll see. Definitely another team that like I really have to see them before I know much, but partially intrigued at least. Next up, Stanford, though, I have the Cardinal 15th.
I've got Sanford 15th as well.
Yeah, I love Kyle Smith, but how, like, what's the point where, like, he just doesn't have enough?
I think this is the point. It's Maxime Renault, and yeah, just I don't I don't
Okpara is
know
good.
what
Okpara
else
is
really.
good.
I like Akpara, but I don't know. You're putting in a
He's
lot of
good.
trust
He's
in
good. He was like a former like
backcourt
high major
guys.
like caliber guy because Harvard obviously gets like better recruits and their level. I like Darren Sarin, but we'll see how impactful he is as a starting point guard in year two. Moving
Yeah,
up
that,
from the
a
Big
big step up.
West. Yes. We'll see with Josiah Sellers. I think I've heard some hype from him. Should be a good shooter. We'll see if he can like play a big role. Jalen Blake's is not bad, I guess. Like he's a good flu guy, but I think they're just
Yeah, solid
yeah,
defender. I would I think it'd be fun to buy into the upside for Sarin and Sellers, but I don't know if I can do that and comparing it to what the rest of the ACC looks like. And
yeah.
the bench is extremely weak in my
Yeah, I mean,
eyes.
I think Kyle Smith just ran into the fact that you can only get so many guys from the portal when you're at Stanford, and he kind of got about everyone he could have. Um, and yeah, the bench is not looking great. Benny Geeler, who's like used to be a walk on or might still be a walk on, is like actually started some last year, I think.
Yeah.
Ryan Agarwal, who like I liked, but he just like never played. They got the lacrosse guy from Virginia, Cole Kastner. We'll see if like he's any good or not. That'd be awesome if he was
Yeah.
like as good as Pat Spencer. Pat Spencer like played a game in the NBA or something like that. But
I'm kind of intrigued on like what Kastner could be. Obviously will be a high level athlete, so I don't know. I'm, the jury's out on if he can play basketball or not.
yes, we'll see. I mean, he was a good player in high school, if but obviously chose the lacrosse route, so I don't know if that means he's good or
And now,
not.
yeah, and now it's
Um,
four years later. So
yes, we'll see. Um, a bunch of other unproven freshmen that Smith will probably make a little bit better than they should be, but probably still not good enough to do anything right away. Um, yeah, Evan Simpson. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how much Kyle Smith can do, but I'm not loving this team outside the first few pieces.
yeah, I'll let them prove me wrong, but I'm more than okay putting Stanford at 15th.
Yes. And next up, Louisville. They were a disaster last year. I have them at third this year, though.
I've got Louisville second, so I'm all in on Pat Kelsey, and I'm taking the swing. I think Louisville finishes above UNC. I think it's a more complete roster in all honesty. I like the guards, I like the wings, I like the bigs, and I think it all fits what Kelsey wants to do.
Yeah, I mean that's a bold take, but I could see it. I could see it. I really like. I mean, like I'm a little skeptical of like all transfer classes as this team was, but I really like the fit. I think there's a ton of versatility. There's a lot of shooting. There's yeah, a lot of athletes. This is going to be a
Uh,
fun team to watch.
I mean, the only guy that can really only play one position is Chucky Hepburn, who's like a a
He
very
can.
a very solid point guard.
I mean, I think
Already
he could
proven
play
himself for
too.
3 years. Yeah, I just don't know if there's another guy to play the one, but
Yeah.
I like what Hepburn brings. 3 years of experience, good playmaker, good on ball defender. Um, yeah, and then
Yes.
Corin Johnson, that's another guy. I think. I
Kind of
think
their
I
other true point guard. I mean, they have a lot
yeah
of guys who can kind of like handle the ball as secondary point guards, but yeah, Johnson's their other guy that could really take a big share of the ball handling duties. Um, Abubakar Traore, just guy that's like all over the floor. Really, really good defender. Just yeah, really is ever on court at once. It seems like. Um,
He can do literally everything besides shoot threes. Like I don't know,
yes.
just insane athlete. He can defend. He can rebound. He can play make. Start the fast break.
He won like Big West Hustle Player of the Year, which is apparently a award in that conference. Um,
I think we should start having a hustle player of the year award.
that's such a fun award, and yeah, Abubakar Traore is definitely he's got to be like all American hustle. Like he is,
Yeah, I would.
he
Yeah.
gets after it.
I mean, you just
Terrence
watched
Edwards,
Long Beach State. It was a
yes,
joy the
yes,
way they play, and he's a big part of it.
quite the team last year. Terrence Edwards, yeah, he's been like a number one option on the tournament team. I think he's going to be the number one option this year as well. Yeah, really good offensive piece. Um, do a little bit of everything offensively. Solid athlete too. I don't think he's gonna have like a tremendously hard jump to the high major world. What I was talked about prior as well. No Waterman coming in late in the portal. Kind of cheated the portal because Mark Pope left and the answer like after the deadline already closed, but was still within the 30-day coaching change window. But yeah, good like stretch four. Javon Hadley's guy I really like another pretty solid hustle player, really physical. Started to kind of shoot the ball last year, which he hadn't really done before. Yeah, kind of a good connected piece. Like you want Hadley anywhere, Rain Smith, a guy who can just shoot the lights out of the ball. And you got Kanai Roos. The team is fairly old, but Roos is a freshman. Um, got a few red shirts as well. Ali Khalifa, Kobe Rogers, and a few
Yeah,
big men and James Scott and Frank Anselmi, but a lot to like, I think.
yeah. I know the Field of 68 guys have been hyping up James Scott basically all off season. So I think I like those three bigs, Pryor, Scott, and Waterman. Scott's a non-factor from three, but Pryor and Waterman can both play the four and the
Yes.
five, and I think putting
I don't know
them
if
on the
I'd
front court
call
together.
Waterman a big.
I mean,
He's
you can play him the four and Pryor the five, and like I think you can get away
yeah.
with that and really cause problems for other
Hmm.
teams on the offensive side.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, this team is so fun. We'll see how it all fits together, but like I just like the versatility, like just like really sticks out to me. Like they're gonna be running, they're gonna be scoring. This is a Pat Kelsey team. Louisville is back. They're
Yeah,
back.
they're back. They're
They're
already
back.
back. They will be back. I've Louisville has a very wide range of like predicted finishes from what I've just heard listening to different podcasts, seeing different things, but I don't know how you can think this team doesn't reach the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Just with all the talent they have. Um, yeah, I think they'll be a top 20, top 15 team in the country this year.
Yes. Next up is Miami. Another team that's definitely um probably gonna see a little bit of a jump back up to their natural position. I had them in fifth.
Yeah, I had Miami seventh, so both obviously a big step up from last season. But
Yes. Really tough year for the Hurricanes after going a few straight tournament runs. They getting a lot of hype last offseason, just never really hit last year.
yeah, I mean, you saw what they wanted, very skilled roster, but just didn't end up being deep enough, really, and just I don't know, didn't fit as well as it should have probably either.
Yes. What do we think about this fit?
Um, I still have a bit of skepticism. Like I love the offensive like ceiling or like capabilities for Pack, Bethea, Blackman, but I don't know defensively what that all brings. Matthew Cleveland hasn't really been a winning player in his time at college, so that's something that kind of worries me. Um, I think I think having Lynn Kidd though makes a really big difference from last year's team.
Yes. Yeah, again, like I'm not really sure if they got in like that much more than they lost in terms of just plus minus there, especially with losing some pretty good players, like Omir. But I think they're kind of due for a bounce back. Like this team is too good to be that bad again, especially. And yeah, I like their transfer class. Lynn Kidd, as you mentioned, has like already been a pretty proven good big in the conference. I like Brandon Johnson as well. Kind of spaced the floor a little bit. Really good rebounder as well, coming over from East Carolina. Jalen Blackman can really score the ball, averaging over 20 points per game for a tournament team in Stetson this year. And then also got a transfer from AJ State and McCray. Pretty solid rotational player at Samford under Bucky McMillan.
Yeah, I like Stan McCray. I think stats don't really pop or anything, but I think he'll just be a solid depth piece.
Yes, for
Um,
sure.
do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I think Bethea really, really needs to be good. I think like that's kind of the key. There are a lot of things this team like needs to happen, but like if he's a bust, which like I don't think there's really much of a chance of that happening. I think they could really be in trouble again. Well, Blackman, no, Bethea, I don't know. What do you think?
Um, I yeah, I don't know. I feel like the scoring for him kind of has to be there. Him and Blackman are gonna have to kind of put together what they're missing from Poplar and Joseph and George. But I don't know. You need to take the weight off Pack's shoulders, and I feel like Pack
Yeah.
had almost too much on his shoulders last year. Just not much like consistency in the backcourt.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I think this is a very talented team, but yeah, I'm also like kind of weighed down by what they did last year. We'll see.
Yeah,
But
I don't think they were as bad as they really were last. Like I don't think they were really as bad as they were last year, but I also don't think they're that much better this year than
yeah,
last year. And I don't know if the depth really got fixed either. I'll see what the other freshmen, Swartz and Johnson Arigu provide, but
yeah, maybe a little bit of a Joe Bray breakout. I don't know.
yeah, and then
We will
I don't know,
see.
probably Curie, Huey, and Yusuf
Yeah.
Basa
He was
Amar
another guy
probably.
that Huey had like a bad like um on off split at Idaho State. So
No,
I don't know.
those are probably two of the weirdest transfers. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
At
in
least
the
like Bossam is like a Yale grad, so like
yeah, he's
you'll just
there
like
to go to the beach and play basketball,
yeah. But
practice,
Huey's
practice.
like weird because like they actually like kind of like wanted him somehow. So I don't know. We'll see. Um, yeah, interesting team for sure. Next up though is Georgia Tech. I have them eighth. Another team I see taking a jump. They were weird last year. They would like beat all the good teams and but also like not win enough games.
Yeah, I've got Georgia Tech eighth as well. I'm buying into those flashes that they kind of showed last year, showing that they had the talent to take down those top teams, and then you hope another year for George, another year for Ndongo, more
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like they're two
consistency.
probably best players last year were freshmen, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
I
You're gonna take
definitely
the highs and lows.
yes. And they got some intriguing transfers. JV McCollum definitely the one that is the best. I mean he could be like a star, borderline all conference guy. I think like there's definitely a world where he gets there, and yeah, him and George is a pretty good backcourt as you mentioned earlier on. They both can kind of create. Kawasi Reeves shot the ball solidly last well. Never really lived to his recruiting hype, but solid piece to have there. Luke O'Brien, really good glue guy. They got Lance Terry back from injury. Another solid shooter from guard. And they have good freshman class too. Damon Stoudemire's really Still recruiting those high school guys.
Yeah, I think just going back to Lance Terry, I think that's kind of an underrated piece. Him coming back, I think he could have a big role, especially because he can shoot it. And he's a lot better of a shooter than George and McCollum. So I like what they have overall as the backcourt, and then behind Ndongo in the front court, a couple of those freshmen hopefully can make an impact.
Yes, Jaden Mustaf's probably the one you would highlight the most to make an impact, highest ranked, and yeah, definitely see him playing some solid minutes right away. Duncan Pell's also like sort of intriguing, pretty athletic transfer from Sacramento State, former high major interest and offer guy back in the day. So yeah, definitely someone who can be in the rotation. And yeah, we'll see. I really like Damon Stoudemire. I assume you do as well.
Yeah, I like what he showed just in year one, taking down Duke and UNC.
Yes, they
Correct?
also be like Wake, like they like knocked Wake out of the tournament pretty much.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so like you're doing that with probably your two best players as freshmen, as you talked about earlier. Like I think you have to be intrigued with what's going to come in year two.
yes. Um, yeah,
Also, yeah, also one at Clemson.
definitely a program on the rise. Next up is Notre Dame, also probably a program on the rise. I have them at 10th this year.
Yeah, I've got Notre Dame 11th.
Yes.
Terrific job last year by Shrewsbury. It's kind of a team. The consensus preseason was like one or two wins in the ACC. I think they went 7-13. So
Yes. A lot of that was due to Marcus Burton. There was definitely some hype building around him in the offseason, but most people probably did not have him as an all-conference guy as a freshman. Scoring 17 and a half points per game, over 4 assists per game, really lit up the scoreboard. Yeah.
and then yeah, the other Shrewsbury's kid, Braden Shrewsbury, um, another sophomore, hopefully can improve as well alongside Burton. Um, yeah, a good backcourt with a very high ceiling. So
Yes, and adding in Matt Alaco from Princeton, really efficient scorer there. Um, he might have been a 50, 40, 90 guy last year. Let me fact check. Yeah, yes, he was 50, 40, 90. So yeah, really a guy that can score and do it very efficiently. Solid complimentary piece to Burton. Tay Davis, Kevin Jai, back in front court. Also got some other solid reserves and Julian Roper, J.R. Konis. How do you pronounce his name? I like knew at one time, but I kind of forgot.
yeah, I don't know if I want to try, but yeah, Jr.
Yes. They also took some like weird transfers, but just for like back end of the bench and Nikita Konstantinovsky. A lot of few interesting names here, and Burke Shebuhar. Not that those guys are really going to be much of an impact, but they have some intriguing freshmen, and I Shrewsbury's really starting to recruit. I think he has a 5-star in 2025, so the
Yeah,
program's only going up.
Jalen Harlison, I want to say, isn't he?
Yes, yes.
But yeah, I think Sir Muhammad has an impact year one,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and then yeah, going back to Alako, I think he provides experience in that backcourt, and then obviously you mentioned really good shooter. Um, can also take some playmaking responsibilities off of Burton too.
Yes. Next up, Boston College. I have them at 17th. Not quite last, but I don't think this team's going to be very good. I know
I've
you were
got
like
Boston.
kind of
I said I said not as bad as people think, but like I've heard people kind of nail them into last place. I've got Boston College 16th.
yeah, I think Deion Brown definitely has an intrigue. From UMBC, not a great mid major, although he really filled up the stat sheet and did so fairly efficiently. I think Chad Venning's also pretty good coming over from St. Bonaventure, really big body, has been solid in the post there, but outside of that, I don't really love the team.
Yeah, I like the sophomores, Donald Hand Jr., Elijah Strong. I think they both make solid jumps. Venning, you mentioned, will be a solid post player, and I'm just in on Deion Brown. I think his game translates really well. A really physical scoring guard, and yeah, I think he becomes a very good number one option. Another guy, Josh Beadle from Clemson, limited minutes, but ACC pedigree. Maybe he could be a solid veteran starting point guard. But
Yes. Roger McFarlane, another transfer they took as well. Probably not really an ACC starter level guy, but yeah. It's just Boston College is a hard place to get people to. I think that's part of the problem here. Um, it's just a place you can't really win at.
yeah, I think Earl Grant's done well with what he's had during his
Considering the
time at Boston College.
circumstances, yeah. I would agree with that, but yeah, not a ton more to say about him. But yeah, it's definitely interested to see what Deion Brown is able to do. Next up, NC State coming off the big tournament run. I have them 13th in the conference.
I've got NC State 12th.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not
obviously
really.
losing a lot from last year's squad.
Yeah, I mean, for starters, they were never really that good. I mean,
Yeah,
they made the big tournament run, but most of the season they're pretty mediocre. And on top of that, they lost DJ Burns, DJ Horn, Casey Morsell, and Mohamed Diarra. So
four of the seven guys
yeah,
that played during the run.
yes, and they're their best players. So yeah, not great to lose all those guys. And I don't love their transfer class either. Yeah, as you said earlier, I kind of like Huntley Hatfield, even though Louisville was so bad, he was actually like pretty decently impactful as a big man. But I don't know about Marcus Hill. I think he's kind of like a shot chucker, and I don't know about him at the ACC. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I'm skeptical of both him and James. James, another Louisville transfer, not really bought in on too many Louisville guys other than Huntley Hatfield. But
Yeah.
yeah, Hill, I mean, good score last year, but kind of at the cost of being efficient. So
And on top
I
of
don't
that, they
know.
got a Georgetown transfer in Dontrez Styles. She was like not bad, but like I also like what are we doing getting guys from Louisville and Georgetown?
But yeah, I'm hoping. Well, O'Connell should play a lot of minutes at the one, and then I'm hoping Dennis Parker Jr. makes a jump, and then I think him and Taylor take most of the rest of the backcourt minutes.
Yes, Jaden Taylor is a really good returner. Ben Middleburg's also someone who was pretty good over that run too. Um, but yeah, I don't know about his transfer class. I also got a Canadian transfer who's like not wasn't even that good in like the Canadian University League, so don't really think he's gonna play. I also have some like bench guards, Breon Pass, and some freshmen with Paul McNeil, Trey Parker, and Bryce Hurd. I just don't see it with this team.
Yeah,
I
I'm proud of people for not hyping them too much after the Final Four run, but I think that's also because you see four of those key guys leave the program. So I don't.
yes.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some okay pieces, but I don't know. I still don't trust Kevin Keats to like I don't know get the job done. Great tournament run, but like I don't. Yeah, not the most
Yes.
consistent, trustworthy
Yeah,
coach in my eyes.
it was fun last year, but don't think that's gonna happen again. Next up, Florida State. I have them last.
I've got Florida State 17th.
I just talk about like doing nothing in the portal. Because Leonard Hamilton did nothing in the portal. He should I don't know why he's still coaching. Like he's just tarnishing his legacy every day at this point now. Just he could
Yeah,
have
I'm.
just stopped by his head.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about the transfer class. three transfers. N- None of them ACC caliber or even close to it, probably in my eyes. I don't know.
I kind of see the upside in taking Jerry Dang, but I mean, not necessarily this year, but he's like a he's like a big wing that can shoot. But again, coming from Hampton, probably not going to do much this year. The other two just aren't even like ever. And Boston Holt and Justin Thomas, probably not ever ACC
Yeah,
players.
and
So
those are two guys where it's only 1 year. So I
yes.
yeah, I don't understand the
So
take.
not even like the appeal of like, oh, we'll get them, develop them really good, and then they'll be
Yeah.
playable. Um,
Um, Jameer Watkins talked a lot about him already.
he's awesome, but like,
He'll probably win this team a couple games by himself in the ACC, but I don't
yes,
know.
I do have Malik Ewan, who was at Ole Miss and never played, transferred to South Florida, but left before the season, went JUCO. Is the number one JUCO guy. I mean, definitely a big body. We'll see if he's much better than he was a year ago, but there's
Yeah,
at least
that's
worth
kind of the
taking.
worry is that that's kind of the worry for me is that he left Ole Miss and then now he's jumping right back up. But
Yeah, we'll see how much JUCO helped him develop. I have heard some good things about Daquan Davis, their freshman point guard that will likely start. It's definitely a name to keep an eye on. Chandler Jackson, the backcourt next to him. Taylor Bowen, two guys will probably start. Two guys that probably aren't ACC level starters right now. Got some other freshmen to round out the bench. Besides Jameer Watkins, I just really don't like much about this team at an
yeah,
ACC level.
I'm hoping Daquan Davis can show flashes as a freshman, but it's way too much in my eyes to ask him to be a really consistent like leader and point guard for a team that's not going to be very good and won't really give him much help other than Watkins.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's stop talking about this team. Next up
Works for me.
we got Virginia Tech, another team that I don't think will be very good. I have them at 16th.
Yeah, and I mean, moving on to Virginia Tech, I don't think they're any better. I've got Virginia Tech last. Another roster I don't think is that talented overall. Um,
Yeah,
but Virginia Tech, another place where I feel like it's harder to get guys to into the program.
I like some of their guys a little bit more. Like I think their transfers are like not terrible, at least.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
Shu
like
has upside. Shu has upside.
yeah, I'll give you that, but I'm like Hasir Miller,
Yeah,
Temple
Azure
guy,
Miller's.
build a stat sheet, but like nothing. Nothing from him is efficient really, and I don't know. Played for a Temple team that didn't win and didn't even want to win. They were like selling games
I
in
remember
conference play. So
that.
yeah, I don't know.
I think Burnham and the Wall are solid though. Like I haven't seen 16. I don't like them, but like I don't hate their transfer class.
Yeah,
On at least like
Lowell's
they're-
fun.
he's athletic. Burnham's
Yeah,
also like perfect like plug and play guy. Like you just have him and you'll probably won't be bad. Rodney Brown's also a guy I'm kind of like buying into, but overall, I don't. I have heard some hype for Ben Hammond. I do like Ben Hammond. They're freshman point guard, not very highly ranked, but I think he could um be a pretty good player in his college career. Miguel Petit also returning, few rising sophomores, Jaden Young, Brandon Rexshiner could see some minutes. Ryan Jones Jr. probably a freshman to monitor as well, but yeah. Again, this team just doesn't seem to be very competitive. I think they're kind of I don't know what they're banking on. Probably shoot to break out, but
yeah. Yeah. I don't see a very high ceiling for this team. Just kind of as you mentioned, I don't know if there's a guy you're going to be able to rely on. Whereas
yeah,
Florida State, you got Jameer Watkins, and then Boston
that
College.
is true. Yes.
I'm really in on Deion Brown. So
Yes.
yeah, I just don't see the same upside here.
Yes. Really just gonna need to shoot to pop. That's the big key. Next up is Syracuse. I have the Orange in ninth.
I've got Syracuse ninth as well. I think it's an intriguing roster, but I don't know if it's tournament level. I think it's wrong side of the bubble maybe. But
Yeah, I would probably agree with that as well. We'll see if JJ Shelling and Chris Bell can really take that next step up. Um, Especially Starling. I feel like he's kind of just like been the same place. Like he's fine, but like he is still never really lived up to his 5-star pedigree when he was a Notre Dame commit. Bell really shot the ball well from three last year, so we'll see if he can maybe take on a little bit more of a scoring load. They're going to need Donnie Freeman to be really good, 5-star freshman. But
yeah, I don't know if the defense is necessary there. Carlos probably a good on ball guy.
Carlos is a
The
good defender, if I
Hofstra transfer,
recall.
but I don't like Starling Bell. I feel like non-factors really.
Yeah.
I, I'm intrigued to see what Chance Westry can be. Off the injury last year, I don't. I I think he finds himself a place in the rotation, but
hmm Yeah, I'm also intrigued by him. Jair Davis also on the roster, moving back up to the power conference level after starting his career at Providence. Big time scorer for Delaware last year. We'll see what he can do at this level. Got Eddie Lampkin as a big man too. Obviously, solid big man, but I don't know. I think this team is just like really solid, but they're not like better than that.
yeah, and yeah, if Starling and Bell take another step forward, I mean, there's definitely tournament potential, but I just don't see it really happening
Yeah.
here, and I want to see another year of Autry on the sidelines before I really would like buy into him elevating a team.
Yeah, we'll see how good Freeman can be right away, I guess. I also have like Lucas Taylor from Georgia State, Kyle Cuffey, and then He McLeod. Again, we'll see. Um, yeah, I'm not totally buying, but I'm not like bought out on this team, so I guess I'll just see what happens. Next up is going to be Wake Forest. I have them fourth this year.
I've got Wake Forest sixth.
It's definitely not an inspiring performance in their exhibition game against Alabama. Although Alabama is really good. The one bright side though is Omaha Blue looked like playable. Like
That's
I don't know if you watched that game.
no, I
Um,
didn't get a chance to, but I mean,
Omaha
if
Blue
Blue
is
looks
like actually
solid, that's probably
like he looked like he kind of knew what he was doing out there, which he did not look like that at Iowa State last year.
yeah,
Like
that's
he did not know what he was doing on the basketball court last year, and he like made a three too. He didn't even make any threes last year. I'm
yeah.
intrigued by him now.
I yeah, I was kind of worried about this team because of I mean, I felt like they were gonna have to rely on Blue a lot. Obviously, didn't get a chance to watch the scrimmage, but if he's showing bright spots, that's definitely a good thing for this team.
Yes. What's holding him back from being like in that top four as I had them?
Last year, what they finished fifth or sixth, like right outside the top four. I'll check quick, just kind of as I'm talking, but missing out on they finished sixth. Uh, now losing Andrew Carr at the four spot, and I think what he provided last year, able to space the floor, really talented, and I don't think they really replaced that. Now, if Blue looks like he did in the scrimmage every night, like maybe there's something there, but I just think there's a really big step down from Carr to
Yeah,
whoever's going to
Trayvon
fill
Spiller
that
is
role.
also solid. I mean, he was App State's best player.
Yeah, I like Spillers, but he doesn't really provide what
Yes,
Carr did, and
not
that's kind
like
of what I'm
Andrew
worried
Carr at
about.
all. Not like
Yeah,
Andrew Carr at all.
definitely will be a solid
hmm
big, a solid rebounder though. But
Yeah. Steve Forbes
and
has kind of been like weird at Wake Forest so far, where like he like really develops like and like makes all these transfers like really good to like really. elite transfer development, but then like the team like always like just falls short, which is kind of like it's kind of like a weird scenario because like Hunter Salas wasn't supposed to be as good as he was last year. I mean, I guess it wasn't like that crazy because there was definitely a lot of hype surrounding him, but then like since he was that good, they kind of like disappointed down the stretch. You know what I'm trying to say? Like it's
Yeah, I like he he exceeds his expectations, but then he gets so close to a
he's
tournament and fails that
overachieving
he
and
like fails.
underachieving at the same time. It's I don't know
Yeah.
how it works, but it does.
Yeah. And like I mean, he bought into his own ability to upgrade transfers, like bringing in four sophomores that kind of
Yes.
or like were freshmen last year that didn't really get too much run. Another thing I'm kind of skeptical about, I know I know I said I kind of like Tyler Johnson, but just the fact that it's a point guard on a Louisville team last year that wasn't very good. Yeah, I see
Yeah.
the upside with the system change, but yeah,
I will say they play a lot of Hunter Salas at point guard against Alabama, and I did not like that look. Like he's good, but like I feel like he's not like a point guard really, and he was playing point guard.
yeah, I feel like him at the point guard too much can kind of stall the movement and like
Yes,
I don't know,
that is exactly what
obviously a
happened.
score first guy.
Yes. Also have Cam Hilder, a solid like second or third option. Next to Salas, kind of on the wing there. Afton Reed, really good big man. Really had a good season last year after also transferring from Gonzaga with Salas. Parker Frederson, maybe named him on there for a sophomore jump. And then yeah, I kind of like Churchill the best. Like despite like how bad DePaul was, like he was like the one guy I like kind of liked at DePaul last year. Not like really, but like liked as in like oh like this guy's like a solid
He's like
backup
competent.
big. Yes, he
Yeah,
plays with a ton of energy.
I'll have to see what I can find from the Alabama Wake Forest scrimmage just to get a good look. But I don't know. There's a lot of things you've got to hope for with all these incoming transfers
But
kind of
like C Forbes is
having an
probably gonna
impact.
do it.
Yeah, yeah, I don't I'm still like the losing Booby Miller I'm okay with. Like I don't think that'll hurt them in the long run, but I don't know. I'm really high on what Andrew Carr provided, and there's nobody that can really do what he did, unless Blue starts banging threes. But if I was gonna give like my hot take for this episode, I would say Wake Forest misses the tournament once again. I think they make it, but I wouldn't be like shocked if they miss. Like I think that's like I don't know a very real possibility. Whereas I've seen this team like top 15, top 20 in other preseason spots, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
I definitely could see that. I think they will, but I also kind of get what you're saying. Next up, though, is going to be Clemson. I have them sixth after making a tournament run last year.
I've got Clemson fourth. Just Brad Brownell continue to do a good job. I think he keeps it up. Expectations kind of low once again, sneaking under the radar in my opinion. But
Yes, obviously no PJ Hall there anymore, but as I mentioned earlier, the front court is fun. Shufflin and Locken, that's a pretty fun duo.
yeah, I like both of them. Um, Shefflin can space the floor. Locken can do a little bit of everything. Maybe not a pure rim protector, but Hall wasn't really that much of one either. So I think the front court fits fine, and that the talent is obviously there.
Yes, the backcourt's also fine. I mean, Chase Hunter's he's a solid starting point guard. I mean, I feel like that's what he's been. Interconference guy Jaden Zachary next to him. I feel like he's a pretty another. I mean, those guys can both kind of handle the
Yeah,
ball. Um,
I think I think it'll be important for Zachary to shoot the ball well once again. Um, you're losing out on the scoring Gerard gave you. I don't think Zachary is as much of a deep threat as Gerard. Gerard's like pulling anywhere inside 30 feet, but I just think the 3-point threat is going to be a big piece.
yeah. Are we in on Jake Heidbreder?
I, like I don't know. From what I saw, he doesn't really look like a power conference athlete. Just kind of looks like a small two. but
Yeah.
are just like thin. I don't.
I like
He
sit-out
had a red shirt.
transfers though.
He had a
I
red shirt
like
year.
sit-out
That's
transfers,
yeah.
and he can shoot it. I don't know.
So
We'll see. He is really efficient. Again, I agree with you. I don't think he really has a power conference body, but he has power conference size. I think he just needs to put on muscle, and I think he could be fine. I don't know. I'm kind of
and
intrigued to see what he looks like right away.
that's the thing. I haven't seen anything of him since watching the Air Force clips,
Yes.
but I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's kind of the 3 spot is where it'll be interesting to see where they go. Highbrider, Miles Foster,
Yes.
Chauncey Wiggins can kind of play the 3,
Big with
a longer,
Wiggins.
lanky option, but
Yes. Maybe, yeah, Dylan Hunter. I don't know if he's going to start there, but definitely another intriguing piece. Chase Hunter's brother. Yeah, they got some freshmen. Asa Thomas, redshirt, Dallas Thomas, Ace Buckner, Dell Jones. We'll see if any of them can crack the rotation. Christian Reeves, big man coming over from Duke, should be a at least a serviceable backup. We'll see though. I really liked the front court. Again, Brad Brownell, he saved his job for a while after last year, and I think they're on the bubble, maybe on the right side though. I don't know. I think
I I'm in on them being a tournament team again. Probably like 7 to 10, 8 to 10 seed, but like
okay,
I think yeah. I trust Brad Brownell now. Yeah. I think you have to give him
that's
the
fair.
respect after last year.
Yes. PJ Hall and Gerard were just really good, but we will
Yeah,
see.
I can agree with that.
Next up though is Pitt. I know you mentioned you were on them. I had them 12th. I might be too low on them, but I
Um,
don't really like them better than like the like
I've
Notre
got
Dames of the world.
I've got Pitt fifth, so that's kind of like another one of the swings I'm taking. The ACC, I feel like there's a lot of high ranges for these teams, so I think that's kind of where I went low on Wake, I went high on Louisville and Pitt. Um, yeah, I don't know.
I could see
I
it.
see the yeah I see the
Low
upside.
could be really good. I think like that's and I guess I'd have him all conference, but if him and like Leggett can really be good,
Yeah, and then I'm I'm intrigued by what Damian Dunn can be. Like obviously didn't really do anything at Houston last year. I don't think Houston was the right fit for him necessarily.
yeah, I'm
Intrigued
not a
by that.
huge Damian Dunn guy.
I think I'd rather Delalich start at the 3,
Yes, we'll see how healthy he can
and then
be right away.
the
I
front
don't
court
know.
the front court is maybe just a bunch of mid, but like I I'm in on what Cam Corn could be for them.
Yes. I think this is a situation where like Pitt didn't make the tournament last year and they lost their by far two best players who were both really good. So maybe that's why I'm like not super in on them. Um, but I do kind of like a lot of the pieces here. I just don't know if they have enough, but I could see it.
I mean, I will say Jeff Capel last 2 years both top 4 finishes. So right, like I don't know, he wins in the regular season. They fall short of reaching the tournament, but
They
I
made
think
it
the upside's
2 years ago, though, if I recall.
in 20. Oh yeah, they yeah the 11 seed. Yeah, you're right. I
Yes.
guess last year wrong side of the bubble, but
Yes.
I like to buy into the hype with Lowe and Delalich. Kind of see where it goes. Um,
Yes. I have also
yeah,
heard some Brandon Cummings hype.
gotcha.
Nelly Cummings' brother. So yeah, a lot of freshmen as well in the team. A few redshirt freshmen. Papa Conte was a 4-star before he missed all of last season with injury. Maybe that's another guy you can throw in the mix with the big man. Jorge Diaz-Graham, another guy coming back from injury. His brother Guillermo played last season, so um, we'll see. Zach Austin, solid athletic wing forward defender. I don't know. It's yeah, definitely. I feel like there's a
I
solidly wide range of outcomes.
yeah, like I place them fifth, but like I can see the 12th where it's like if Lowe doesn't like really hit, and then yeah, there's some question marks, but I'm really in on what Lowe can be, and then I think Delage, um,
Yeah.
just kind of I don't know, he can do everything, guard skills as a big wing, and
And
yeah,
I also don't
Lowe
think there's
obviously what we
like
saw last
really
year.
that much of a difference between fifth and 12th. Like, honestly,
Yeah, I can get behind that. Like just
maybe
going
like
through
30
those
spots
teams.
nationally, like
Yeah, I mean,
maybe 30, 40. I don't know.
kind of sneak peeking at my top 100. I hit 35th, and then where do I have NC State? 72nd, it's like 37 spots.
It's not, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a big gap, but it's not like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's definitely tournament upside, I
You
would
squeeze eight
say.
ACC teams in 30 spots. Yeah.
Yes. Next up, Virginia. I've been wanting to talk about them, and I had them at 14th, and I was going to have them at 14th even with Tony Bennett, but now people can't get mad at me because they have Ron Sanchez coaching them, not Tony Bennett, and this roster still isn't good.
Uh, I had Virginia 6th before the Bennett news. I dropped them to 10th. I thought that was fair, but like I could totally get behind 14th with what the roster looks like. Um,
Yeah, I don't know how much Tony Bennett was saving them. Maybe a little bit, but like this roster
I
is
hope.
not inspiring to me at all.
Well, and like it's also the worry of did he retire because they were just that bad.
I'm sure if
I
they
don't know.
were like going to be like top 10, he would not have walked away.
Yeah, and like the scrimmage versus VCU, they lost by like 20 Saturday, I think.
Yes, that's yeah. This is going to be a horrible offensive team. McNeely is good offensively. He's more of a catch and shoot guy, so not super versatile. But besides him, I guess you have the power intrigue. But again, he went 0 for 9 in the scrimmage. That's probably like worst case scenario. But I
Yeah,
I don't like this team at all. Their defense is going to be good. I mean, Ron Sanchez is still a good defensive coach as a Tony Bennett system, but like,
yeah. I think that's where like the system still saves them. Like I don't. The roster is not talented. Yeah,
like
no questions about it really.
I
Maybe
didn't
Day
love
Day
Day
Ames can
Day,
jump.
but
I don't know.
maybe, but like he wasn't that good at K-State last year. I mean, definitely a like top 50 recruit, could see the jump, but didn't really see it from him last year outside of a few spurts. I guess he showed it, but like not super consistent. I think he was playing in a better offensive system to succeed last year. Um, Jalen Worley's just like kind of been the same thing his whole college career. Former 5-star, but I'm like out on him by now. Defensive wing, I guess. Like, I don't know. I don't really know what his appeal is anymore. Elijah Saunders, I
Yeah,
think, is like a solid glue guy piece, but he's not like moving the needle for me. Andrew Rohde was bad last year. Blake
yeah.
Buchanan
People,
can
I
maybe
don't know.
take a step up, but
Can can Rhodey be like second year transfer guy? Do anything? He just doesn't feel like
maybe in a
a
different
power
team.
conference player guy to me.
He was really bad.
It's like a really watered down version of McNeely almost.
Except he can't shoot or
I mean,
score
he
or
was
do
supposed to be
anything.
able he was supposed to be able to shoot.
He was pretty good at St. Thomas, but he was bad last year. Elijah Gertrude's also out for the season because he like destroyed his knee in like a scooter accident or something, which
I guess I didn't
I
know
don't
the
know.
details.
That he had some intrigue before that as a pretty highly ranked recruit going into his sophomore year. Christian Bliss, I know maybe has some upside, but I don't know. This roster isn't that good, and Tony Bennett's no longer there to save them. So I have him 14th.
Yeah, and I have him 10th, but I could see a total bottom out really
Yeah.
anywhere in the bottom five.
Yep. Next up is Duke. I have him first. His team is really good.
Yeah, I've got Duke first as well. Talent is absolutely undeniable.
They have about everything on this roster. Like,
Yeah, I mean, we talked a lot about the three freshmen kind of stars already. talked a bit about Proctor and Foster in the backcourt. Probably each going to take a big step forward, and then a bit of everything you mentioned, all the experience coming in the transfer portal. Malik Brown from Syracuse kind of does everything, really good defensively. Mason Gillis, space the floor, and then Sion James, just really physical guard in the backcourt. I think he'll help take pressure off Proctor and Foster a lot.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah, Darren Harris, I think incoming freshman, really good shooter. I think he's a guy who can maybe crack the rotation as well. Patrick Gongba, Isaiah Evans, other 5 stars. We'll see what they can do. But yeah, obviously Cooper Flagg is going to be one of the best players in the sport. He can. What what do you think his stat line's going to be like on the year?
I I would say more like somewhere between 15 and 17 points a game, and then like 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and probably a steal and a half, a block and a half.
I would agree with that. I don't think he's gonna like score a crazy amount of points, but he's just gonna do everything on the floor. Obviously gonna have those huge scoring games, but yeah. I think Caleb Foster, I believe he was one of your breakout players. Could definitely see that he was
Yeah.
battling injuries at the end of the year, should be ready to go. Yeah, obviously got Brown and Maluach inside. Proctor as a point guard, been a solid starter for 2 years. Knipple is winning all the hype this offseason as a guy that could be a starter. Like there's a lot to like about this Duke team and not a lot not to like. I know some people are skeptical on freshman teams, like teams that have an overwhelming amount of freshmen, but first of all, I don't think there's any reason to be skeptical on Flag, and I think like this team actually has a solid amount of experience with I mean, Proctor, Gillis, and James. I mean, especially Gillis has played for some really good teams. James has been playing for a while. There's
Yeah, and
a lot to like.
like you said, kind of people being out on like freshman heavy teams. That's kind of where I found myself at the start of the offseason, but Duke's just been like slowly creeping up my rankings, I feel like. And yeah, I mean, we've talked a lot about Flag. I'm not even sure you can. I mean, you're gonna have to treat him like a freshman. He's still 17, like hasn't played a college game, but it's like I don't know. I feel like he's already played at high levels. He's played in these USA Select scrimmages against
I'm
NBA
pretty
talent.
confident he'll be good.
And then, yeah, Maluach, another guy, already played against pro level competition. Like,
Hmm.
I don't. It's not like they're being thrown in the deep end right away. It's two guys who have played high level things, and then Con Knipple already had a good showing. And yeah, a lot of hype surrounding him. Really good shooter. So I think you can count on those 3 freshmen to make an impact and not be like
Hmm.
worried that they are freshmen.
Yeah. And I mean, if they're not good for some strange reason, like there are guys to take over their spots, like Sion James,
Yeah,
Caleb Foster can really step up. Like Malik Brown can be the big man if Maluak doesn't do anything, which again, like that's like the worst case scenario. Like they still have the backups, so
yeah.
they're gonna be really, really good, in my opinion. One of the top national title contenders. Moving to their last team in ACC, North Carolina, I have them second.
I've
Um,
got UNC third. Louisville second. Talked about them earlier.
yeah, obviously we talked about RJ Davis, one of the top scorers in the country. I mean, I think he's probably gonna be a first team All American for both of us potentially. Um,
Yeah, I think just quick note on that. I think the conference probably has 2 of the best 3 players in the country in my eyes. For sure, 2 of the best 5, but like I think very possibly 2 of the best 3. Mark Sears would be the guy thrown in
I can
between
definitely
Flag and Davis. But
agree with that. Um, Seth Trimble was really good in their exhibition game against Memphis. I mean, RJ Davis did not play because of a minor injury that will not impact him during the year, but Seth Trimble was really good.
yeah, I mean
And
we
Ian
talked about
Jackson
it
was
that
not.
we talked about it that night. Like I feel like Trimble probably starts now. I like after seeing that, I think you have to take a swing on Cadeau Davis Trimble. It's
I
very
agree.
small defensively, but like the offensive capabilities there is absolutely
Trimble's a good
insane.
defender too, though. Like he can hold his
Yeah,
own.
you just might get a little outsized. I don't,
Yeah.
but yeah, Jackson Powell just looked like freshmen in the scrimmage. I think
Powell was solid at
it'll
times.
it'll
I think
it'll it'll ease on as it
Van
goes.
and Lubin looked kind of bad too.
Yeah, Jalen, like I liked what Jalen Washington
Yeah,
provided a
Washington
little,
was
but
good.
I still think the big situation is very. It's what's holding me back on this team. That's why I want to take the chance with Louisville. Just I'm not entirely bought in. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm putting too much weight on the preseason scrimmage, but I don't know. It's
Yeah.
nice to judge based on actual basketball rather than just preseason hype and offseason expectations.
Yeah. How good do you think Cadeau's gonna be this year?
Based on what I saw on, I don't even know. I don't remember the day of the scrimmage, Tuesday. I really like the playmaking capabilities, and he just looks so much more comfortable this year in my eyes too.
Hmm.
Um, Made lots of really good passes, and when Davis comes back, it's going to be even easier for him. I don't know how much the
Yes.
scoring increases, but you can
He,
definitely
he
just see
he
you can see
is
the talent is there. Like
he did
I'm not,
shoot 18.9% from three last year. He's a much better shooter than that. In high school,
yeah,
he could shoot the ball. I think that definitely goes up. I think his just overall feel for the game and the college level goes up. Yeah, and I think he's going to be one of the best pass first point guards in the country. Playing next
I,
to Davis.
I think
That will, yeah.
just going off that, like the feel for the game, the comfortability level. I think that almost is like that's going to help a lot with the 3-point shot. Just like being able to be comfortable if he gets left open, like
Hmm.
on, under a screen, whatever it is. Um, Hopefully he can punish you there. Because obviously the guys will be or the defenders will be kind of looking for him to play make rather than shoot. But
Yes. So yeah, we'll see what North Carolina does to the big man, but between Jalen Washington, Van Allen Lubin, Tyjon Claude, maybe
Jalen
sprinkle a
Wither,
little bit of James Brown in there. I think they'll be fine.
I think they'll be fine, but I don't think they can truly be elite with what they have right now. To be
Yeah,
honest,
I'm not like crazy high in them nationally either, but this is still a pretty good basketball team.
and yeah, you have one of the best 3 to 5 players in the country in RJ Davis. So
Yes. Anything else on the ACC?
um, I don't think I have anything. I guess kind of hot takes. Wake Forest misses the tournament. I could see it. I don't know if I would project it right now, but I think that's something. And then I think Louisville makes a second weekend.
Louisville is they're back. They're back. That's the big thing. Duke is really good. Cooper Flagg is really good. Um, let's see.
Yeah, Duke
Yeah,
should only get better and better.
yes. So yeah, that wraps up our ACC preview. 18 teams. It's a lot of teams to go over, but we got it all through. Yeah, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube at Hoop Scoop Media. Make sure to follow our social media platforms at Hoop Scoop Media, Instagram, and Twitter/X. Make sure to follow Luke at College Hoops Outlet on Twitter, at CHO Talk Sports on Twitter/X. And yeah, if you're listening to this on the podcast platforms, make sure to give us a 5-star review there. And yeah, that is the podcast. We will see you next time.